Hi y'all, I'm out here with Ashlyn Gagnon of Orthodox Farmhouse Brewery. She's gonna show us around this space. Just a quick question. So y'all been out here about a year in April.
Yeah.
And your husband, Jesse, he has a background in brewing, correct?
Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Jesse's been brewing professionally for 11 years now. Our brewery is officially his fourth brewery that he's been at. But Ozark Beer Company, he was the first brewer hired there alongside Andy and Lacey, and so he kind of got to help to bring that up. And then, we skip a couple years ahead, and here we are.
And he's a man of many talents. You said he also built all this by hand, all these structures out here.
Yeah.
So in addition to brewing, we're building too.
Yeah.
I'm excited to take a look. The outside is amazing. So can we look inside?
Yeah, let's go inside.
All right.
Come on in. Jesse is a craftsman of many talents. So he is both a craftsman in the beer arena and also has a lot of carpentry background and skills. His parents were Maine boat builders, and so he comes by it very naturally. So you can look around and see, we were talking about that barn out there. All of the barn wood that you see in here is coming from that barn, and this is all, Ozark's cedar, red cedar that we have along the sides. This was milled right here in Arkansas, and so, yeah.
And it's gorgeous. And
Thank
you've got, so you have your merchandise over here. You sell some t-shirts and hats, it looks like.
Yes.
And then back here, you've got your setup where you have your various beers. How many beers do you tend to have on tap?
So it fluctuates every week. And so we have a 7-barrel system. We have one person in production. And so you kind of never know what's going to happen week to week, but we try to keep anywhere between like 5 to 8 on anytime that you're out here.
And y'all are very adamant about changing it up, not sticking to one kind of beer, right?
Yeah, so we, part of that's just a part of necessity. It's our size. We have Belgian farmhouse style beers is a lot of our emphasis. So you'll taste several beers that are within that genre, but we're always rotating those. So we don't have any like flagships. These are here all the time. We're sending out thousands of cans. That's not our model at all. And so you're going to be always trying something new when you're out here, with the exception of Orthodox White is one that we always have on. That's our Belgian wit. And so if we did have a flagship, I suppose that's the one that would be considered that.
And was that the first beer that y'all crafted?
Yeah, so it wasn't, it was one of the first beers that we brewed. We had it on an opening, but mostly it was kind of the beer that started Jesse's love of beer was a Belgian wit. And so he tasted that beer, was inspired by it many, many, many years ago, and has known, if ever he was opening his own brewery, he wanted to brew an excellent Belgian wit. And so, yeah, it's important to us and sentimental in those ways, for sure.
I'd like to look around at some of the outside spaces, because a big part of what y'all do here, in addition to having this tasting room area and all the different kind of beers, is that you try to create a community space outside. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah, so we're on our tap room grounds, we're on about 2 acres over here. And this is just a wonderful space for people, throughout the weekends and all of our business hours, particularly when it's beautiful weather. This is just packed full of people enjoying the space, sitting under those big shade trees, looking out at the fields, watching gorgeous sunsets. And so this is a really important part of our space for sure.
All right, you want to walk out there and take a look at it?
Let's take a look. Okay. Yeah, so this is our outdoor space. We have these beautiful, we're surrounded by walnuts and maples and oak trees that provide much needed shade to these Arkansas summers. We have this kind of iconic windmill, which is a part of the property. When we first came on the property, it was actually still attempting to pump. That trough out there has been filled in, and that's where a lot of we affectionately call that the dirt trough. It's where lots of children like to play. But that was an old watering trough. And then kind of the backdrop to our whole outdoor space is this beautiful barn. This is the Caldwell barn, and this is an incredibly old barn. She's been standing for over 100 years now. And we have kind of used this barn as a backdrop to this whole space, and also kind of hearkening back to that acknowledgement of the rural Ozarks. It'll be a very sad day when that barn comes down, but we hope to restore her and kind of build back, in the footprint of that barn using as much of the original materials as possible. So.
And you were saying that some of that material you've used already inside for like flight serving trays, things like that.
So if you have a flight in there to taste that, your flight trays have been made from, this is Ozarks white oak that's been aged for 100 years. So you'll feel the heft of that. That is a heavy flight board, and that's not just because we're wanting you to flex your muscles as you're walking out with that. That's just Ozarks oak. It is heavy and comes straight from that barn. So a little piece of history you're holding in your hands while you're drinking that beer.
And you were saying that some of the wood out there was used to create a barrel that you used for a specific beer. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so for our 1-year anniversary, we did a really special beer that we called Colwell. And that was in reference to the Caldwell family. So it's kind of an interesting story. In the Goshen Cemetery, the Methodist Cemetery, there's like 4 different spellings of the name Caldwell. And that's because back then, spelling and literacy were all very different. It was all the same family, but we named the beer Colwell because that was one of the representations made. And what it was, in traditional barrel aging, you have a barrel made out of oak that has had some sort of spirit inside of it. When that spirit is out, you're adding your beer to it and then letting that age and impart flavor over a certain amount of time. We kind of reverse engineered that. We went and we got Ozarks white oak from this barn. We took it down, we refined it down to kind of its original porous material. We hand toasted it, and then we soaked that in bourbon, and then added those staves directly to our Belgian triple, let that age, and then the resulting beer was essentially Ozarks white oak barrel aged, only it was, a deconstructed barrel.
And such a unique beer.
Yes.
that is a one-of-a-kind beer right there. I don't know of anywhere else you're going to find that beer.
Yes, truly.
That's here.
When people talk about terroir so much less in craft beer than they do in wine, or in even spirits like Scotch. But that is one of the most incredible examples of terroir in beer, in that this beer is entirely connected to this property, this place, and that barn is actually imparting flavor into our beer. It was incredible, and we're really excited to make more of it.
And on this space here, you're talking about the community aspect of what you're doing here. You guys have a potluck here on Wednesdays. Yeah. You do things with the farmers market on Saturdays. I've seen from your Instagram you have people coming out here and playing music. You get food trucks out here sometimes. How important is it to have a communal aspect for what you're trying to do out here?
It is the most important thing to us. And so we did not want to come out here and just make beer. We are really passionate about beer and want to make the very best beer that we can. And also, the connection and community and hospitality is just as important to our experience and our product, because this space and the people within it and the hospitality experience is the vessel in which people experience our beer. And so the community connection out here through the farmers market, through musicians, we have a gravel cycling group that comes out here and rides once a week as well. And then just a entire group of regulars that are always out here enjoying this space. It's incredibly important, and it's a part of, I feel like, what tap rooms and breweries have been doing for hundreds and hundreds of years. They connect people to one another, and they connect people to a place, and that's what we're doing.
All right, so we're going to try some of the Orthodox Farmhouse Brewery beers here. I have a white, a Tripel, Warstay, and a stout. And I appreciate the name of Warstay because that's how my mother says wash.
Yes, we named that's how my grandparents say wash, and so that is a nice light German Helles. It is meant to be used and drink throughout any time of day. So we always said that'll help you get through your chores.
All right, so I'll start over here at the white, and we'll just go across. And this was the first one that y'all made, and this is if you had a flagship, this would be it.
Yeah, so this is a Belgian wit. So this is a Belgian wheat beer that is brewed with bitter orange and coriander. So it is light, it is really refreshing, it has a little bit of that citrus in it, and then you're probably going to be tasting a lot of that, some of that Belgian yeast strain, which some people will say is going to taste a little bit clovey, definitely some subtle spice in there. And that you will also probably pick up some of that in the triple as well, as that's another Belgian beer.
It is really light. I could see drinking this hot summer day outside. This would be a great beer. A great beer to have if you were out fishing or on a boat, anything like that.
Yeah.
It does have a little bit of that spice to it, like that I associate with. I mean, I don't want to compare it to too many big name brands or anything like that,
sure.
but I guess similar to like what people might find in a Blue Moon or something like that.
Yeah, Blue Moon
or
is,
a Shock Top.
Yeah.
But this, there's a difference here. It's not so heavy on the orange, I think.
Yeah. If someone walks in, they're completely unfamiliar with craft beer, and I'm trying to describe what is this beer like, I'll ask, have you ever had a Blue Moon? Almost everyone will say yes, and I'll say, okay, that's a Belgian wit. So you're familiar with the style, you're just going to try it, made a little differently.
All right. I'm going to move on and try out the Tripel. I've had Tripels before, but I'm not super, I can't really remember what it was like. I'm not super familiar with them. So what am I getting into here?
Yeah, so the Belgian triple is definitely going to be it's going to be higher alcohol. It's going to be a bigger beer. It means it's going to have kind of more in the mouth feel. You're going to be tasting some of that sweetness. You're going to obviously be tasting that higher alcohol content. It's going to be a little maltier, but you're also going to have some really interesting, you can smell and taste aromas of fruit, of spice, and that is definitely coming through with some of that Belgian yeast as well. But totally different drinking experience than the white.
Oh, that's delicious.
Yes.
That's delicious.
Yes.
That's like fruity and malty at the same time. That is the perfect combination.
Yeah, so you're getting some of that sweetness. So for people who are like, listen, I drink fruit beer, but if I didn't have one of my fruited beers on that day, I would say, let's try the Belgian triple. Just because it has so much of that natural kind of stone fruit coming out and characteristic that often people are really, really interested in it.
What is the fruit that goes into this?
So there is no fruit in it. So this is just imparted from the yeast and the malt. You're getting some of that. It's that sweetness that's coming through from the malt.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing because I would swear that there was fruit in that.
Yes,
like that is that good. It's almost like berry.
Yeah,
like a flavor.
yeah.
Oh, that's dangerous. I could
It
get
is,
in trouble. I could get in trouble with that.
7.7%. It could get you in trouble.
I can get in trouble with that. All right, to change it up here, the Warsh Day.
The Warsh Day. So this is our lager. So lagers ferment at a lower temperature, and so that means that this is going to be fermenting in our tanks at a lower temperature for at least a month, if not more, from the time that we brew. And so it's going to be incredibly smooth. It's got some of that malty sweetness. We say Helles is a beer drinker's beer. And so, see what you think.
That is very smooth. That's
Yeah.
almost like drinking water.
Yeah.
That's
It's too smooth. It's too smooth.
Not really. I mean that either one of these would be amazing on a hot day.
Yeah,
I mean
refreshing.
for a refreshing drink when you're wanting something that provides kind of that sense of relief from the heat.
Absolutely.
And rehydrating like that. That's the drink.
The Warsh Day is what I'm drinking now as well, and that Helles it's just phenomenal. It's such a good summer beer. It's what we also use in our Radler, which is a traditional German cycling beer, and so it is half Helles lager, it is half lemonade, and we're putting that on next week. But it is an incredibly refreshing, slightly sweet, lemony beer, lower alcohol content, obviously.
I could see this. I have some friends who are very into craft beers and some friends who are not so much into craft beers.
Yeah.
They want their basic American style lager.
Yes.
I could see them enjoying this even though it is not just a
Right.
basic American style lager. There's more going on here than just that.
Yeah.
Because I do taste the malt and I can. There's something else happening there when you
Definitely.
drink it, but I could see them still enjoying it. That it wouldn't have that with IPAs, for instance, just super sour, and I think for people who aren't used to drinking craft beers, they get something like that, and they just don't know what to do with it.
Sure,
too much.
Yeah,
this would be an easy drink.
Yeah, IPAs definitely have more of that bitterness from the hops, and lagers are gonna definitely have that smooth characteristic. And if somebody came in and, like I said, unfamiliar with craft beer, a lot of people say, "What's the lightest thing you've got?" This would be a really good beer to introduce them to and say, why don't you try a German Helles and see what you think about that? And suddenly they're really enjoying a craft beer, that they may not have ever known before. And so that's really a cool experience.
All right, and then, I think you did this because I told you beforehand, I do tend to trend towards the maltier beers, the richer beers, and so I got a stout here.
Yes.
And
so this is just a nice American stout. So unlike, a lot of stouts that you may experience in craft beer, this is not a big, heavy, boozy stout. Oh, and there's
hello.
Jasper, our brewery cat,
hi there.
coming
yes,
to say hello.
You are welcome. You're absolutely welcome to come join me.
You can set him down. He is, the official mouser of the brewery, but he likes to come visit people as well.
I would not put down this adorable cat.
I mean, we can, so it's really fine.
No.
I don't know how that comes across.
I love cats. All right, so
Okay.
I was smelling it, and
so this is
it's
going to
like
have
almost
a light,
have like coffee almost.
Yeah, so coffee, chocolatey, roasty, but it's not super heavy. And so you're going to be able to drink this all year round. We have people that want this stout in the summer as much as they do in the winter. It's just nice and light on the palate while still having that stout characteristic.
I see what you mean. Yeah, it does go down really smooth. It's not syrupy. It's not.
Right.
It's not
like thick, like milkshakey in your mouth. This doesn't have lactose in it. So a lot of people are doing milk stouts. This is just a traditional stout. And so again, you're not getting some of that, milky, milkshakey that you would get if we added lactose to that. Like
good. It is smooth. It's easy to drink, and it's got that maltiness that I really like in a beer. Just toasty.
Yeah. Warm you up.